welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm very excited for today's topic. So today I'm going to try to answer the question, should you have a daily step goal? And this is a very hot topic in the fitness industry, and especially among my interests of exercise metrics, metric validity, joyful movement, and unvalidated fitness norms. So we talk a lot of times about the 10,000 steps a day goal. I'm sure that if you are in the fitness industry or even are close to the fitness industry, you've heard of this recommendation of 10,000 steps a day. So in my video today, we're gonna unpack a little bit about where that came from, my experience with it, and how you can kind of create your own version of a daily step goal to fit with your values of joyful movement. So if you watched my video on the Apple Watch, I talked a little bit about my experience with getting pretty obsessed with my Apple Watch metrics. And so one of the metrics that the Apple Watch provides you is your steps. And even before I had an Apple Watch, I had a Garmin and I used the Nike Run Club app. So for most of my life, I've lived and died by my step goal. And I don't love that. And it took me a really long time to kind of work through what is the utility of having a daily step goal and how is it really helping me find peace with my body and with fitness. So after I took off my Apple Watch, one of the first things I started to really evaluate is, well, how will I know if I'm fit if I don't have these metrics? How will I know that I'm healthy? And I think I still struggle with that to some degree. I've started to, unpack what those terms mean and if they have a definition. Hint, they do not have a definition. That definition is yours to build. But once I took my Apple Watch off, I started to think, well, how am I supposed to know if I'm getting 10,000 steps a day? And a few weeks after, I started to reflect on, well, why is the goal 10,000 steps a day? Why do people care? Where did that number come up with? It just seems like a good number. So I was like, well, is there research behind it? Is it validated? And so I started to do my own research on where 10,000 steps a day came from. So the 10,000 steps a day recommendation actually has a very interesting history. So it started in Japan. There was a Japanese salesman who was trying to sell a pedometer, and the Japanese symbol for 10,000 looks vaguely like a man walking. And so that's where that number came from. And it was kind of co-opted into now this recommendation that you see Apple Watches, fitness trackers using. My health coach certification book used it, but it has never been validated by science. In studies done, it's a range of anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000, more or less, are the steps we need in a day. And again, even, I really hate giving a number. There is not a number that you need to be hitting every day to be, again, healthy. We're trying to throw out those words, but there's no real way or a number that you need to validate your steps or your walks or whatever you're using those steps for. But I think it's really interesting that this number that started out as a sales tool is now being used for people to measure, their health, their fitness. So is it bad if you walk 10,000 steps a day? No, there's nothing inherently bad in having that be your step goal, but I would recommend a few things. First, really reflect on if that goal, and you may want to rewatch my video on habits versus goals, is that goal helping you? Does it make you feel good? How do you feel on days that you didn't reach the 10,000 steps a day goal? And really digging deep into the utility of that. I know personally that when I stopped measuring how many steps a day I took, my walks were so much more joyful. I did them because I wanted to, because I genuinely wanted to go on the walks or the runs, not just because I wanted to hit some arbitrary goal made up, by a Japanese salesman to sell a product. In the studies done since to validate the 10,000 steps a day recommendation, they have come up with sort of a more nuanced approach to daily step goals. And that's that you do want to increase your step goal And again, when they say step goal, it's more just general joyful movement. There's not an actual number that they recommend that feels positive and sustainable to you. So this really goes back to our conversation about habits. Can you just do a small habit most days? That could be a walk around the block. That could be cleaning up your apartment. Rather than setting a goal that you'll never reach or that will make you feel disappointed, set one that feels really good for you. And that doesn't have to be a number. That can be, I'm gonna listen to 10 minutes of my podcast today on my walk, whatever that means to you. And so I think it's really important that research shows that it's about us. It's about our intrinsic motivation to find joyful movement. It's not about these extrinsic validators that tell us whether or not we've hit our daily step goal. If you're someone who really, really, really needs a metric to hit and that makes you feel good, great, that's awesome. But I do ask you this week or this month, start reflecting on if it actually is helping you. And it might be, but I just know that I spent so long thinking these numbers were helping me, were telling me something useful about my fitness or my health. So think about where that goal is getting you. Is it making you feel better? Is it making you feel validated? Or does it kind of leave you disappointed a lot? So start to reflect on where that goal fits into your life and what emotions you're feeling around it, because it's totally okay to have goals. In fact, it's oftentimes good to have goals, but you need to know the why behind them, the intentionality about why you're setting that goal and how it makes you feel. So this was just one of the many fitness norms that I've spent the last year or so trying to debunk. And in my next few videos, I'm going to be focusing on a couple different of these fitness norms that have just become so ingrained in our fitness culture that we just assume that they're fact. And so the 10,000 steps a day myth is just one of them. So this week, if you think of any that you just assumed were fact, start to reflect on it, maybe even look it up, see if there's research to support it. Feel free to put it in the comments and maybe I'll use it for one of my next videos. But just start to question, I hate to say it like this, question everything. Question where it comes from. What is the purpose of someone writing an article about it? What is their purpose behind doing the research in the first place? Are they being paid to do the research like all of the fitness tracker data? So really just do some reflection this week on where your assumptions are coming from. And I know once I started to unpack the 10,000 steps a day myth, it started to open up this world of like, wait, what is truth? What is fact? We've just been told all these things by, the billion-dollar industries that are trying to sell us products. And we need to take a step back from that and reconnect with our bodies and our intuition and really find joyful movement at the end of the day. So all of this research is going to go in the description. Feel free to watch my habits video and my Apple Watch video. Those are super relevant to today. And come back next week for the next fitness myth I will debunk. So have a great rest of your day and thank you for watching.